Cue your favorite Irish song. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Hopefully, everyone's enjoying the day. We have two that have written in so far. Joy, always a joy having you here. So, good morning to you. And then also, Big Justin S. Good to hear from you from YouTube. So, we're talking St. Patrick's Day. I'm also talking growing season, which has begun for part of our viewing area this morning. And there's just in general, how are your St. Patrick's Day vibes? It's good things all around. I got my dark green vest on today. You can barely even tell that it's green, but as we know for the green screen, certain greens don't do too well, or else that'll be just a weather distraction. But let's get right into it. St. Patrick's Day forecast. We have some active rain in the area right now. I see some drops on the lens. That is going to be impacting certain locations really from the I-40 corridor down towards the south, but then that should be out of here by about 1 o'clock. I think that we're just calling it a day. But before we move any further, I want to talk about some St. Patrick's Day trivia. Okay, so first one, play a game with me. Two truths and a lie. Obviously, two of these are true, and then one of these is false. A shamrock is not a technical plant name. St. Patrick wasn't actually Irish. The first official St. Patrick's Day parade was in Boston. Well, all these are believable, but I'll give you a chance to think about it. What do you think? Is it orange? Is it the white bar? If you guess the green one, you're absolutely correct. I was actually surprised by this. Now, I might be splitting hairs here, but the first official, that's the key word here, was actually in New York City. Now, technically, it was the early 1600s. They had kind of a smaller one in St. Augustine, also 30 years before New York did. Boston had kind of a general march, but it wasn't a technical parade. So the first official one was in New York City. And I have one more other question to ask you. So this is more St. Patrick's Day trivia. What color did people originally associate with St. Patrick? Orange, gold, blue, or purple? Well, first off, as we learned, St. Patrick isn't actually officially Irish. He wasn't born that way. He was actually born in, they either said Britain or Wales. That I haven't really found a definitive of where from he has been. But a lot of the early pictures, what you'll notice is he's wearing light blue. So if you guess blue, correct. And if you get both of them right, that is quadruple the life points. So you can get a grand total of 8 right there. So spend them wisely, my friends. Let's move on with our rain chances. By the way, if you hear any random coughs from this guy, who raise your hand, even though I can't see you, if you sometimes get a cough or get sick during winter and then the cough doesn't go away. That's exactly what I have right now. So I apologize for any coughs that you hear on air whenever I do these live streams. Just after a bunch of words and I talk fast, my throat's like, hey, no, take a break. Okay, so talking about the rain. It's actively raining right now. Very, very light rain coming down across the area. You can see it's a little bit more concentrated down to the south. I can show you Dallas, 1,450 feet up, has currently a raindrop. I'm looking at some of other cameras. I'm not just getting distracted by a butterfly flying by, but some of my friends might disagree. But it is actively raining. It's very light rain. Some of this might just fall as some sprinkles, but it's really the active rain window from now until about noon that I think most of that falls. But then once you get to about that noon to 1 o'clock, I just sent out a tweet on this. Most of it's going to be down towards the southeast, clear of the Charlotte area. But the gloomiest part of the day is pretty much right now into the early afternoon before you start to see a few bright spots starting to develop, like what we had a little bit earlier on to start off the day. And then you get to enjoy winds out of the west with high temperatures around 70 degrees. Yesterday, I think, was a much better day, in my personal opinion. Yesterday was actually perfect, near perfection. We're not necessarily going to have that, but we are going to head back into more of a drier pattern overall. Hold on 1 sec. The graphics aren't advancing for me. Okay, there we go. But one thing that's going to change for us is that the big cool down. Boo! A secondary cold front is going to chill us down. So this isn't going to be a terrible, oh my goodness, I can't handle this type of drop. We are looking at highs in the 50s, which, if you think about it, it was just a month or so ago. We were happy for those days. But this is going to lock all that rain down towards the south. It was looking like a late rain later today. Instead, it's just really just going to cool us down. So high temperatures tomorrow, mainly just going to be sticking to the mid 50s. I have a high of 57 degrees, 59 on Tuesday, back to 71, and then low to the mid 60s is pretty typical for this stretch of March, even though we end the month of March in the upper 60s typically for our averages. But one thing that we are going to see going forward is also a cold low. Typically, it takes about a day or so after a cold front to really hit the bottom, and that bottom is going to be Tuesday morning. So, plant watch. Who has been tempted by those big box stores or even the grocery store saying, "Hey, buy our plants"? Usually it's a great idea, but we are heading into the time of the season that 32-degree temperature could bite some of those flowers. So that's why we have our first freeze watch of the season. These are confusing because these are very inconsistent for wherever the areas are. We have a bunch of national weather services that kind of offices that converge over one area. So whenever the growing season has been deemed official, that's where you start to see these. So the counties in blue that you're seeing here are the ones that, one, potentially dropping down to 32 degrees or colder, and two, have started their growing season. So I reached out to the National Weather Service to check this map to make sure that this was accurate. So anyone that lives in the light green, today started your growing season. So it's not just St. Patrick's Day, it's also the growing green begins. Even though if you own a home or just been out and about, you can see a lot of things have flowered. My hostas went from little spears to the full leaves starting to pop up. But it's areas north of Mecklenburg County. So we're talking about Rowan, Iredell, Catawba, Alexander, Burke, and most of Caldwell County. Your growing season starts a week from now. That's going to be March 24th. And it's mid-April that we start to see signs of the mountainous side of things for Burke and Caldwell County, but it's not actually until about May 1st for the rest of the mountains that you officially start your growing season. Going forward, if there's a chance for a freezing temperature or frost, you're either going to have a frost advisory or a freeze warning. How long do we typically do this, though? The average last freeze in Charlotte history is March 28th. The earliest we've had a last freeze, February 18th. We're not doing that because we're already calling for a 32-degree low. The latest has been May 2nd. Yeah, that was back in 1963. Who remembers? And the latest frost is April 10th. And the reason why this is a little bit later is frost doesn't need to be at 32 degrees because you could have technically a 38-degree temperature and still frost because elevated surfaces might be a little bit colder, such as your car and things like that. So the frost usually goes a little bit later, but we are heading to the point that it will be pretty close to plant some things outside. The general rule that we like to say is wait for tax day. Once that's done, so about mid-April, you shouldn't have a problem in the world. And even if you did get overzealous, like, hey, I'm still moving plants around because I have to, because they're growing so quickly. Just try to cover them up if you can. I brought up the hostas before; those are really resilient, but certain flowers might be a little bit more delicate. Our lows, boom. The bottom is Tuesday. After that, you're seeing a nice little rise up, stair climb up into the 40s, and then it's a bunch of up and down action. And since we're basing these off of these 10-day forecasts, I'm also letting you know we're heading into a nice little dry pattern. I always like to say this, especially this time of year, that people are doing spring cleaning. They're trying to do things outside. Maybe you need to paint your house. I need to do that. You need at least a 2-3 day window. They suggest longer if you can. We are going to hit another dry slot that looks like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You don't have to worry about rain. Friday is a big question mark. So Joy asked, when does Southwest or Wisconsin's growing season begin? Much later than us, Joy. I truly don't know about Wisconsin growing season, to be honest. It honestly changes so much here. But you've had an overall mild winter, even though you've seen snow, but it's not as much as usual. I would presume it would be May for you guys, because if the mountains are dealing with a May 1st, I wouldn't be surprised if yours is probably around the similar time frame. So I would still kind of keep the main thing. You know how it is up in Wisconsin, Joy. As far as our rain goes, I don't like the disagreement we're seeing here, but regardless, what it's doing is showing a low pressure system off the coast is going to meander its way onshore. And what is that going to look like? Is it queued up? Is it moving? Hold on. Sorry, we're hitting another graphic freeze. There we go. Bring up our travel circle. Our computer's over there. That's why I'm looking wondrously. You see the rain start to expand on Friday morning. So right now, Friday is looking like a pretty wet day because you have this one system. It comes up, it grows, but then you can see the center there. This is classic tropical storm develops off the coast. It's too early for that, but brings widespread rain, slow moving. But then as you see into Sunday, you're good. Meanwhile, I've seen other models that you don't have any rain until late Sunday, heading into Monday. So expect a lot of changes as far as that forecast goes, but all in all, not a bad week. Let's wrap it up with the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, as we usually do here on air. Guy Roofing is showing a lot of ups and downs. The up is today, the up is Wednesday, the downs are Monday night, Tuesday morning, and Tuesday, and then after that, pretty much what you would expect. And Joy, I will do better for your Wisconsin question. I just didn't know it off the top of the cranium, but I'll look that up for you. And as always, anyone who joins me here, if you have any other questions and I don't know the answer, I will be honest with you and I will look it up for you in the best way I can. And I appreciate you for joining me. Thanks for doing some St. Patrick's Day stats. I hope you have a wonderful day. Top of the morning to you. Goodbye, everybody. And let's do a little jig out of here. Take care. Bye.